Ohm's law was proposed by German physicist George Simon Ohm in 1826. I believe that in high school, we had learned Ohm's law. Today let's take a deep look at Ohm's law. Before learning Ohm's law, let's first learn about resistance elements. The definition of resistance: the free electrons in metal conductors, in the process of movement, will constantly collide with ions in the metal, which hinders their directional movement. This hindrance is called resistance. It is represented by the symbol R or R. The resistance is defined as when E volt voltage is applied to both ends of a conductor, and the current is E ampere. The resistance of the conductor is Sh ohms. In the international system of units, the unit of resistance is ohm. The common units of resistance are kilo ohm, mega ohm, etc. In the circuit, wires are often regarded as ideal conductors with zero resistance, but in practical circuits, the existence of line resistance cannot be ignored. Second resistance element. Resistance is a physical quantity of the circuit, while resist element refers to physical elements that present resistance to current, such as potentiometers, resistors, and so on. All resistance elements must satisfy a law, the Ohm's law, that we will explain. 1. Local circuit. Of Ohm's law, the circuit without power source is called a partial circuit. Then Ohm's law can be directly expressed by formula. The current flowing through the conductor is equal to the voltage across the conductor divided by the resistance of the conductor. I represents the current flowing through the conductor. U represents the voltage across the conductor. R represents the resistance of the conductor. After transformation, Ohm's law can be applied to these two common power formulas. Students must master it well. The Ohm is law of complete circuit. A complete circuit is a closed circuit with a power source. The circuit inside the power supply is called internal resistance. The resistance inside the power supply is called internal resistance, abbreviated as internal resistance. The circuit outside the power supply is called the external circuit. The resistance in the external circuit is called external resistance. The content of Ohm's law for complete closed circuit is directly the closed current in the closed circuit is proportional to the electromotive force, and the total resistance of the circuit, namely the sum of the internal namely external resistances, is inversely proportional to the current, which is expressed by this formula, E equals C divided by the sum of bit R and small r. E represents the electromotive force of the power supply, which is the voltage of the power supply. D represents external resistance, and small r represents the internal resistance. Note that if the voltage on the resistor is inconsistent with the reference direction of the current, a negative sign should be added to the formula sign. Volt power characteristic curve. The characteristics of resistive elements is generally represented by the volt power characteristic. Voltage power characteristic refers to the relationship between the voltage U across the resistive element and the current I passing through it. When the voltage across the resistor is directly proportional to the current passing through it, its voltage characteristic curve is linear. On the contrary, the voltage characteristic curve is nonlinear. Note that Ohm's law only applies to linear resistors. R is a constant. That's all for this section. Next, let's summarize the course. First, when analyzing circuits, pay attention to internal and external resistance. Second, when voltage on the resistor are inconsistent with the reference direction of the current, a negative sign should be added to the formula. Third, Ohm's law only applies to linear resistors. That is, R is a constant.